Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing great. Hope that all is pleasant for you. And most importantly, my friends, hope that you are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, my friends, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we talk about here on the Common Sense channel. So once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. So today I want to talk to you about the places in Africa that IshowSpeed did not visit. You understand? And I think had he gone to those places, we or the world would have gotten a better picture of the real Africa. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about an Africa that I grew up to, that I have not seen change yet. And it's always been my prayer. It's always been my hope that Africa can change, that part of Africa can change. And I wish that IshowSpeed had gone there and bring the story to the world. The story he brought to the world were stories that many of us know. There were people that were crying. There were people that were saying, "Oh, I didn't know this Africa. That's how Africa is. Beautiful, nice, beautiful houses, beautiful buildings, and everything. Nice streets, modern, yes." Really? Really? All you could have done was done your research. You're a hypocrite and you are a liar. You could have gone there. You were surprised because he was the one showing you. But you could have gone there yourself. Had he gone to some of the places that I will talk about in this video, maybe you would have had a different experience or different notion or different view of his entire tour of Africa. Understand? I think what he did is okay. It's good for him because he's promoting his brand. It's good for him. Let me tell you, the Africans, my friends, they would dance for anyone. You understand? They would dance for the Chinese. They would dance for the Arabs, the Kuwaitis, the Saudi Arabians. They would dance for the Indians. They would dance for the Pakistani. They would dance for the European. They've danced many times for the Europeans. So not even going to mention that. But they'll dance for anyone. It's African. And I think that's the weaknesses. I'm sick and tired of them dancing for everyone. Sometimes you got to take it serious. As we look at the situation of Africa. So let's talk about the Africa that he didn't show you. So there's Africa where the 95%, you see all those people you saw in his tour that were running after him, doing all that stuff. Those are only 5% of the population. The 95% of Africans, you know what they were doing? They were hustling. Some of them barely make $1 a day. It's real, it's facts. Some barely even make 50 cents a day. Facts. Understand? Some of them are not even able to utilize those nice buildings, skyscrapers, and streets, roads that you show you of Africa. Facts. Understand? Some of the people you didn't see, the 95%, are women who maybe are pregnant. But let me tell you, throughout their trimesters or throughout their process of carrying that child, will never see a clinic or a hospital to check on the maternity of that child. Why? Because they don't have the money to. A mother carrying a child cannot just walk into a hospital or a clinic for free. She's not guaranteed by her own government. Her own government that did not even prioritize her health, and not even the health of the baby she's carrying. Perhaps the baby she's carrying, whoever impregnated her, has already denounced or denied the pregnancy. Or even if they didn't deny, they themselves are not even making enough to care for her and the child. You understand? That's the Africa he didn't show you. That's where 95% of the people live. And I use my platform to talk about these things, not for anyone to feel sorry for the Africans, because the Africans themselves don't feel sorry for themselves. Why is that? Because they keep voting for the same clowns. And some of these people feel like they're entitled. They feel like they're the ruling class or classes. So every now and then they show up their faces and they talk blah, blah, blah. Africa is a place when that child, that lady that carries that child, that will never see a clinic or a hospital until that child is born. When that child is born, as in any culture, in any society, there will be people that will gather around and they will be happy and they will welcome that child into the world of Africa, where poverty is the way of life, where everything is everything. They will welcome that child. If some of them are honest, they will tell that child, welcome to the jungle. Although Trump says it's hellhole, I don't call it hellhole. I call it a jungle where all the terrible creatures that are human beings lives. And they're all fighting to eat each other. It's like a lab. So as Grandmaster Flex says, it's like a jungle sometime. It makes me wonder how I keep my head from going under. It's like a jungle sometime. It makes me wonder how I keep my head from going under. That's Africa. Imagine some of the things that they go through. If they were weak-minded people, they will have to be in the psychiatric hospital almost every day, talking about some mental disorder and something like that. But they are used to it because why? They are born into it. And that's the place IshowSpeed did not show you. We're talking of an Africa where some capital cities are darker than darkness at night. In 2026, they don't have constant or regular electricity. The city are so dark. When you're in the city itself, and for those who travel to Africa, you know it. I'm not talking about IspeedShow that was just roaming around, running around. No. I'm talking about living in there and walking the street at night. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep my head from going under. It's how the Africans feel. That's why any opportunity that comes up and an African can have that opportunity, they'll take it. Sometimes it feels like it's by design. And I want to believe that now because I left Africa for a long time. And ever since I've left Africa, the condition has not changed. You understand? I remember my oldest daughter went to Africa for the first time. Never been to my country. But if I should ask her again, do you want to go there? She'll like, no. It's sad, but because you want your children to know where you're from, they go there. But the living condition in your country, right, it's not equivalent to the living condition that she's from. What are these? They don't have running water in 2026. They don't have constant electricity. The sanitation in the country is terrible. There are mosquitoes everywhere. At night, you can't even sleep. They are just making noise the whole night, biting you, and eventually you get malaria. You can hardly drive on the street because it's so congested. There's no control as far as traffic congestion is concerned. Let me tell you this. If you can ask an African right now, they'll tell you, when the Europeans were based in Africa, you ask most Africans, they'll tell you this. The ones that were alive, and even the ones that are not even alive, that passed down the story to their children, they'll tell you, when the Europeans were there, Africa was better. Everything was orderly. They were picking up trash on time. The streets were clean. Government employees were being paid, even if they're not paid better, but at least they get the salary on time. Women were able to go to clinic for free. Not the best of best, but at least they didn't have to spend that much money like they do today. Everything was taken care of. And now you have these clowns. What upset me the most is even though when the Europeans were there, they was milking the country, they were milking the continent, but yet things was not as bad. I grew up my grandmother was born in 1926, and I spoke to her all the time about what life was for her when she was growing up. And she told me stories. So no clown can come on my channel and go, why are you saying this? Because I don't do none of that stuff on my channel. I'm not somebody that blame the white man all the time. I came to this country, look, I look at the situation, I say I got to make the best I can do for myself. And I try, and I'm still trying. That's the American dream, state of mind. And I will apply this to anyone that has something called self-determination. So you can't keep blaming someone for your problem all the time. At some point, you have to get up and say, what can I do to change the situation? And that's what these African leaders are failing to do. My hope and prayer is the Sahel state can set the example that most African, the ones that IshowSpeed did not show you, can start to see that it's possible that the condition of Africans can be changed. It's possible. But you need good leadership. Now, these same clown leaders, they're going to be meeting in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. They're going to be meeting there. What are they going to be talking about? Trash. The same old trash they talked about it last time. It's the same old thing they're going to talk about. And guess who they're going to blame? The white man again. I think the white man is an easy target. Anyone can just throw stuff. Their inadequacy, their laziness in the mind, their inability to do for themselves, and no, not for themselves, because they're well taken care of. For the people, they just throw it on him. Something that must have happened some 200-300 years ago. Hey, let's just give it to him. That's why I don't buy most of that stuff. I don't. Because you can turn your life around. Except you're less of a human being which are what some of these leaders are. They are less of a human beings. They don't deserve to run anything. A black man for once should be able to run something and run it well. It's not happening in the continent, that's for sure. Africa is a place that IshowSpeed did not show you, where immigrant, when I say immigrant, I'm talking about people who are not, has no trace to the continent of Africa, can go there, abuse an African, spit on an African, do all the whatever he or she wants to do to an African and get away with it. You understand? Slap them, talk to them anyhow, and get away with it. That's your Africa. He didn't show you. We're talking about an Africa that IspeedShow did not go to, where a child can go to school in the morning with no food. Come from school, no food. Go to school, no food. That's the Africa we're talking about. Because the parents can barely make it. We're talking of an Africa where a mother would give birth to a child because the dad was not involved. She would abandon that child, walk away, go start another life somewhere. We're talking of an Africa where religious houses will look at a child and say, that's a witch. And everyone will ostracize that child. And that child will be left to survive on their own. That's why in most parts in Africa, you see huge orphans on the streets. At 5, 6 years old, they're selling things on the street, water. Some sell gum. Some sells things that, just to get by. Some of them are trafficked as sex slaves across Africa and maybe internationally too. That's the continent where it's so hard that anyone from anywhere can come and promise you anything and you believe. Promise you a job in Dubai. Promise you a modeling somewhere in the Western world and you take it because that's your only option. That's the Africa IshowSpeed did not show you. We're talking of an Africa. If you notice, I didn't say a country because I don't see Africa. We're done with our country stuff because the country don't make no sense. Because look, until they start to see the continent as what it's supposed to be, they're going to be disrespected anyway. Imagine Donald Trump put a ban on all of the 52 countries on the continent. If they were all united, he'd probably say maybe the continent of Africa. And they won't care because they can, within the continent of Africa, they can travel within the continent of Africa. That is if they were united. That's the next part I'm going to talk about. And sometimes it's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep my head from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep my head from going under, says Grandmaster Flex. It's a wise brother. And that's what Africa is. Africa, if you don't know, is a place where even you're African on the soil, you can migrate to Tanzania or places like, I know there are countries in Africa, you can't even buy land. Even though you're Black African, you cannot buy land. Say, for instance, you're from Nigeria and you're living in Benin. Their constitution make it harder for you to even buy land. And you're African, though. It's not like you are from anywhere. You're just from Nigeria, but you are born on the soil of Africa. But you cannot own a property in Benin or in Togo based on the Constitution. You're not considered someone that's eligible to buy a land. Understand? That's the continent where you can't travel freely. You cannot travel freely. If you cannot travel freely, so you can't trade freely. Because when people travel, some either travel on business, leisure fare, where they go spend their money, they come back to the country, boost up the economy. If you can't do that freely, that means you can't trade freely. Africa is a place, my friends, can do. And each of these countries has legislatures, has the law bodies, has presidente. And let me tell you, their governments are not doing anything to unite just within the continent now. More or less unite outside of their country. No, they are not doing anything to unite within their own country. More or less trying to unite outside of their little box. That's your Africa. So most of the things that are happening in Africa, we're only looking at the top. But underneath, the situation is they're doing. You understand? But the politicians are so crafty. And they want to put themselves on the war stage, on the world stage, like they're relevant. You understand? But they're not. They're not relevant. And those powerful nations, when they look at them, they see them like that. Africa, my friend, is a place that IshowSpeed did not show you. Where when a child is sick, or when anyone is sick, I like to do the child because children are supposed to be taken to the hospital when they're sick. But their parents in Africa, when our ancestors were around, they passed down their traditional medicine to the community, because most of the people that live in cities in Africa right now, they once live in the villages. And if they're honest to themselves, they know in the village, they're traditional healers. Some of these traditional healers, these things were passed down to them by the ancestors to heal the community. That was their role. When the Europeans start to introduce their medication to the Africans, they abandoned all of the practices, that the role that the traditional healers were playing in the community, in the society, in the village, in the town. You understand? They abandoned these people for modern medicine. So now you have to use modern medication. Where do you get modern medication? In modern hospital, in modern clinics, right? That's where you go. So now something that you used to get for free or sometimes for nothing, now you have to pay more. You can't afford them. So most of these women, most of these people now, because they can afford to buy Tylenol or aspirin or whatever they call their penicillins, if they can afford to buy them, where do they go? Instead of them going back to traditional healing, they go to the church. Or they go to, I don't think Muslim people don't be doing that thing. Islam don't do like the praying on the water thing. Islam don't do none of that. And that's true. I know most people know that. The only people that do that crap are Christians. I talk about you on my channel. And I know they're making the case for you here in America. When America, my friend, is not a religious country. It's not even a Christian country. But they can gather here, including whatever is named Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump isn't a Christian. He's using you for votes. That's what he's using. He's a politician. His party used you, and he's using you too. He's not a Christian. Don't believe that. I probably never read that book. But Donald Trump believes, here's what Donald Trump believes, that God does not control the affairs of men. He believes, just like the founding fathers, that men control the affairs of this world. So start looking at to him as if he believes in your book. But yeah, this individual, the one I'm talking about, the ones they take these kids to. I don't think some of these people that are advocating for spreading of Christianity in Africa, some of them do know, because some of them been to Africa. They see how they perform these fake miracles, healing process, just to impress them. They go get someone to impersonate or perform like a actor, and it show the white man that, oh, there's healing in Africa. Now you tell that same preacher man, go to the hospitals, go to the clinics where the real sick people are, and perform your healing there. Can't do it. Will never do it, because they know it's all fake. The healing process, it takes place in a human being. If you believe that a Tylenol will heal your headache, when you take that Tylenol and you believe it will heal your headache will be healed. Psychological. It's the same thing with the nonsense they do. So that's the Africa. He didn't show you. Where when people are sick, they go to these places. And they pray, sprinkle waters on you, and they say, you'll heal. Go home. Meanwhile, the sickness is eating inside of you. Africa is a place where when a girl cannot afford to pay her tuition because her parents cannot afford to pay, if it's not the principal that would intend to abuse her sexually, it's the teacher. If it's not the teacher, it's the professor. For grades and for other things. Africa is a place where the rich and the elite can do whatever they want. And at the same time, they tell the police to beat you up. Pay the police to beat you up. And nothing comes out of it. That's the fact. Africa is a place he didn't show you. You understand? Where you're working with an African. Both of you are working together. Doing things together to better everyone. And guess what? They are trying to malign you, silence you, and eventually take your life. For 30 pieces of silver, it's the Africa he didn't get to see. You understand? It's an Africa, my friends, where a person, I think Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was very energetic. He believed in Africa. I think he believed in Africa so much that he never wanted to see the heart of the black man. And this is universal too. It's not just indicative to Africa. It's universal. The black man will do you, will sell you to anyone. There's no price tag that he can accept. That's why sometimes I look at the situation that's happening in Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traoré. I just say, that's your Africa. I look at the situation happening in Mali with Guaita, and I say, that's your Africa. And some of these things are reason why most democracy in Africa becomes a dictatorship. because of the people, the nature of the black man. The nature of the black man will never change. Whether he's in Africa, whether he's in America, whether he's in South America, whether he's in wherever part of this world he finds himself in, his nature is never going to change. And I think some YouTubers that are Africans, they become frustrated sometimes. And I see them and I feel sorry for them because they're trying to make change on the continent. And some of them even go like ballistic too. Because I can't understand the frustration, you know. But people like IshowSpeed, he doesn't know much about Africa, you know, like us. I've seen the Africa before, and the Africa I saw before when I was a little child is the same Africa today. Hasn't changed. At least in the evolution of a human being, we don't remain where we were when we say 5 years old. We grow, and we grow past 5. We become 10, we become 15, we become 20, we become 30, 25, 30. That's at the evolution of the human beings. So as you age, things must change. You know, and that's why sometimes when we look at Africa, we're not happy. Especially in times when we're talking about AI. You know, it's going to be the new world order, AI right here. And meanwhile, Africa is still talking about safe drinking water. They're still talking about electricity. They're still talking about good roads. You know, even in Spain, Portugal right there. Portugal is not a rich country. There are countries in Africa that if you put together all of the natural resources, can pass Portugal. But if you go to Portugal, they have good roads. They have good houses. They're taking care of the needs of their people. They're not super rich in terms of minerals, but they're taking care of the people. Why is that? And that's what we're supposed to explore. Understand? Why is that? And I found out the reason why. And the reason is simple. It's the mindset. The mindsets of let's make our country better for our people and for the ones that are yet to be born. If you find out in these countries, they're not super religious. You will never hear some politician in Portugal or Spain comes to America to lobby for the spreading of Christianity in their country. You're never going to find that. Or Islam, or any religion out there. No. If they ever do, it's for infrastructure and development for the people, jobs for the people. You understand? But an African politician, once he gets that invitation to come and sit here with these evangelicals who doesn't even believe in their own damn religion, are not even practicing it, polluting this world with fake, organized religion based on politics and hate of others, make religion look disgusting. The real essence of Jesus' teaching are not found in their religion. That's where I have a problem. I have a problem with organized religion because it doesn't practice anything Jesus, aka Yeshua HaMashiach. Nothing. That's my issue when I talk of religion here. I'm upset because they're not practicing anything Jesus. Look, in Africa it's even worse. The Africans like to do things, overdo things. If you're African, you watch my video. Check this out. See, in this country, in America where I live, on Sunday, they work. They work on Saturday and they work on Sunday, 24/7. You, On Sunday, you don't work. You don't open your shop. You don't open your businesses. Because you say you set it aside for the Lord, the Sabbath day. You understand? In Western countries, where the system works, there's no such thing as Sabbath day. You understand? It's business. It's 24/7. Keep it running. Ask your Africans that live here that does business here. They run the shop. Their business is on Sunday. Because they got to keep it going. They don't make that money on Sundays. How are they going to pay their bills? How are they going to run their business? You are stuck on stupid. You close all your store. I'm not going to open because it's the day my Lord Jesus died. Who said Jesus died on Sunday? Who said God rested on Sunday? Who told you that? So that's your place called Africa that IshowSpeed did not show you. The place where they are superstitious. The Africa. Where? From the moment you're born and you start to grow, you already know your destiny. You're not dreaming of becoming anything. Except maybe you're born into the elite class where they can just grab you, send you to England, send you to America, send you overseas to get an education. You come back, you're a sport brat. You know you're going to be minister somewhere someday. Who knows? But if you're like the 95% of Africans, you already know you're doomed. Africa is a place where you go to school. Many young people have college degrees. But let me tell you, if you should pin any of those college degree kids with a high school student in any of those any Western countries, their level of comprehension would not be the same. I'm telling you. It's the truth. Some of these individuals, I don't want to even go there to talk about how Western countries views African education, whatever level it is. I'm not even going to go there. I probably would do a video, a complete video on that, because I understand that better than anyone else. But I'm just talking about their level of education. They are taught to memorize things. They are not taught to comprehend things. They are taught not to think critically. And I think most black people don't think critically. Understand? And that's why on my channel, I don't do that stuff here. Because I like to think about different things. Because I know the Almighty that created me did not create someone stupid. My brain is as the same as any race of people on this planet. And I utilize it too that way. I come here and I do my thing. I don't do group think. I don't even like people that behave and think like that. Because you have to set yourself apart. You have to be different in the way you behave, the way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way you plan. You have to be strategic. Why is that? Because you're representing a race of people that has always been talked down on. Understand? So you have to position yourself in a way that is different. Yeah, that's the Africa he didn't show you. It's like a jungle sometime. It make me wonder how I keep myself from going under. It's like a jungle sometime. It make me wonder how I keep myself from going under. Says the great one, Grandmaster Flex. When you listen to that song, he's talking about his environment, what he's seeing. And that's what I'm talking to you about. What I see, what I saw in Africa. Understand? Most Africans will tell you, especially those of us that have children here, if we're to take them to Africa to visit, that's the first thing we're thinking about. Where are they going to stay? The condition of the place. the food, the water, electricity, the transportation. Imagine those things that we don't worry about in this country. You understand? Those things that we don't get up in the morning thinking about. In Africa, those are the things you must think about. You must face in them. And you must think about them. So you're thinking, how do I impress my kids? So that if I'm not here in this world, that they would sit down and say, I want to visit Africa. And say, oh shit. Never wanted that to happen, but sorry. Yeah, it's on the video now. It came out. I was trying to, I'm a human being. And this is real. It's real. So yeah, so you have to think, and plus I'm not feeling, I'm still recovering from the cold I had. But yeah, so you have to think about those things. Just to take your kids. You don't want now that you can take them to Europe. I mean, Europe, they won't have to think about all that. But your own country, where you're trying to introduce them to, you have to think about that so that they don't go there and have an experience of a lifetime that would make them not want to go back there. And these, my friends, are the things I'm talking about. I look forward to a day when I can go to Africa without even worrying about taking shots so that I don't get sick. Is it by design? Is it by design? Is it that the Africans are doing themselves? Because should you ask an African right now, would you want the French or the British or the Belgian or the Spaniel to come back and recolonize Africa and get all these clowns out, clean up the place and take over? Would you want them? I bet you if you were to go out on the streets of Africa, any African countries, and ask them that question, I bet you would get unprecedented response. Something that would blow your mind. That Africans, if they're honest, they'll tell you. Because most of them don't even know what neocolonialism is or colonialism. They don't know. That history wasn't even taught to them. There are few Africans that even know what happened to their ancestors. Yeah. Because they don't teach that stuff in school. Brainwashed education. Some don't even know how their own government runs. Imagine that. And it's true, too, in this country. There are a lot of people in this country that don't even know how the government runs. The only time they pay attention is when things are squeezing them. The Africans, they're squeezed from the time they're born. Yeah, just imagine you're born. You from the moment you're in your mom's womb, you've never been to the hospital or clinics. Some kids will never see the dentist their entire life. So imagine, see how strong the Africans are. They'll never visit a dentist except the elites now. They've never, some of them, from the moment they dropped them, some midwife did something, dropped them into this world, and the earth received them. That's it. That's the only time they will see a hospital. When they're sick, they just find a way to take care of themselves. Imagine growing up in a world like that. That's your Africa, my friends. That's the one IshowSpeed did not show you. And for me, I use my platform for things like that. That's why I often say, talk about those things that people know, but I often talk about. I'm not doing my video for you to feel sorry for Africa, because they don't feel sorry for themselves. Because if they do, they can change the situation tomorrow. There will be election coming up in my country soon, and in most African countries. You have this bunch of eligible 18 years old Africans, not informed, don't know anything. They don't care about their own future. They don't care about the situation that got them to where they are, where they can vote for reasonable candidate. In fact, there's no reasonable candidate in Africa that are willing to revolutionize things that will help everyone. It is in Africa that you have more college graduates that cannot find a job because they're not affiliated with some political party in the country. They end up selling mangroves or driving Okada or Poda or Trotra or whatever it is on the street just to make ends meet. You understand? They're college educated, but they can't find their work. They produce engineers, doctors, lawyers, but these lawyers don't even know the law. Engineers can't even build infrastructure that withstand the test of time. They have to bring people from outside of the continent to build this infrastructure. That's your Africa. And some of these infrastructure are not even owned by the country. They're owned by foreigners that dictate the politics of the day in these countries. The politician promises so many things when they're running for office, never fulfill any of them. And the people never question. So if you were given an opportunity, you have a skill, you have a talent, whatever your talent is, a specialty, to leave the continent of Africa, what would you do? That's the question. Would you stay there and try to make it better, which is the right thing? That's what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and many others were trying to do. But the people are not ready. Even now, they're not ready. They're not ready for a revolutionary leader. And whoever that revolutionary leader is in Africa, that leader, that individual had to squeeze it down their throat. The change that will make their life better, you have to squeeze it down their throat. Any means necessary, as Malcolm X would say. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep myself from going under, or my head from going under. That leader will have to squeeze it down their throat. That leader will have to say to hell with democracy and foreign meddling in our affairs. Get out. You understand? Because if you want reform, no change comes without pain. No reform comes without struggle and pain. And Africans don't know that. And some of these elites in Africa, once they start feeling the pain, guess what? They don't want to. The elites are the most despicable human beings in Africa, the African elite, because they don't want to suffer. That's why when Donald Trump put the traveling ban on them, on these countries, I like that, because the elite of this country will start to rethink what they can do. Or guess what? They either, if they don't want to suffer, then they'll have to cave in. And Donald Trump already knows. He already got the buttons. Press that thing, ping, pong, ping. And they all cave. Oh, yeah, we sign your legislation. Oh, we do what you want to do, master. You understand? That's your Africa. Because those elite, they don't mind that people suffer, but they must not suffer. That's who we talk about on our channel. That's the Africa you didn't get to see when IspeedShow was in Africa. Because Africa, like the Africans, like I said, They'll put up a show for anyone that want a show. You don't find no one in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait running after IspeedShow. They got better things to do. You don't find no one in Europe doing that. You understand? But in Africa, you'll find. And most of them are the 5% anyway. 5%ers. The 95%ers, they are out hustling, trying to make ends meet. And those are the ones I care about. And those are the ones that I pray that someday, maybe, let's say someone like what France is doing now, maybe France can take some troops, evade Africa, or France and some other country that just, they're a powerful country, just evade the whole thing. Maybe that will unite the continent. Some European country just take the warship, sail into Africa and say, hey, if you don't give us what we want, we're gonna bomb you. To hell with United Nations, to hell with world order. We ain't give a crap. We're gonna just take it. Maybe that, my friends, will unite the continent. Yeah, that. I don't want to say that, but yeah, it needs something like that to wake them up. Because if you look at in the early days of the freedom movement in Africa for liberation of the African continent, they had one thing in common, was colonialism. And all of them promised, the founding fathers of Africa, the Africa that you see today, they had one enemy, and the enemy was colonialism and neocolonialism. So they had to fight that. Today, the ones that are there, they're weak. You understand? I'm not saying they're weak, but they're content. They're content, and they are not willing to change anything like their forefathers were trying to do. So maybe something catastrophic or something like the scenario I gave you would maybe wake them up. But yeah, that's the Africa you don't know about. So I just want to end my video. I don't want it to be too long, but sometimes when you do these things, just too many things to talk about. Just too many things to talk about. The subject of Africa is immense. Just so much to talk about when you look at a continent, but not in a way for you to feel sorry for Africa, because we don't want you taking your cameras over there, taking pictures of our children with the flies all over their faces, and then you bring it out over here in the other part of the Western countries to make money of it. That's not what we're doing here. I'm not even in favor of stuff like that, because I know you're worse than the colonialist. You who did that, you say you're doing it in the name of charity. Yeah, we don't want you doing that stuff. Understand? But we don't want anyone using Africa to promote their brand either. The Africans need to figure out their own problem. They need to solve their own problem. And they can solve it by changing their mindset. You change your mindset, your problem solved. You're in a relationship with a woman or a man, and you see other people are progressing, they're doing better, and he's not trying to move on. After a while, you're going to start to evaluate things. That's changing your mindset about the whole thing. And if you approach them, you try to discuss with them, they're not listening, then you move on. It's called evolution. But to me, it seems to mean that I don't think that stuff is happening in Africa. And especially when the world is advancing at a rapid speed, as far as technological advancement is concerned. And then to see that some countries are still struggling with adequate drinking water, electricity, better infrastructure, where you can put your Lamborghinis on or your nice fast-speeding car, and don't have to worry about something causing an accident. You know what I mean? And they can create heaven on earth. So I think that's why sometimes I say religion is the problem too, because religion is suicidal. Organized religion is suicidal. Instead of them thinking about creating utopia on earth, they are thinking about creating utopia in heaven. Heaven doesn't exist. Hell doesn't exist. None of these places exist. The only thing that exists is you and your reality. That's what exists, not heaven or hell. These exist in the minds of the people that created that, not you. So find your heaven here and create that. And I hope the Africans can start to see that too. Get rid of that religious stuff. No Western countries believe in that nonsense because they know they have to create heaven here for them, their children, and the children to come. You understand? Africa, on the other hand, that's where you see that all these evangelical, they get on my nerve. Like, they're all over Africa, and that 7 days advantage, they're everywhere, spreading the nonsense. They don't live it like that. They don't live that here like that. They don't live the kind of life they try to preach over there. Who are they trying to win? Okay, say you open heaven. Would they allow people, some of them don't even allow people to live in their own neighborhood or even go to school with their kids. But yet they think heaven is going to be open to you. If heaven was a place where everyone can go, do you think those people allow you to go there? But they're keeping you in your predicament, in your situation. And Jesus said the heaven you're looking for is inside of you. So whatever you make of yourself and your environment, that's your heaven. You don't need to go look for it nowhere. It's not in that sky. Pretty soon they're going to make a colony up there. Ask Elon Musk. Elon Musk is creating a colony up there. And guess what? If it's a heaven, only rich people can go there. Billionaires. Not you. You're going to be stuck here. If anything should happen catastrophic on this planet, they'll just hop in their spacecraft and they go up there. And you're going to be here. So heaven is not for you. Understand? What is for you is your community, your livelihood. Make it better for you and your children. Leave something for them behind. Don't think that Jesus is coming to take you there. Now, Jesus been come long time. Jesus is not coming back. Read it. I'm not going to just read Matthew chapter 6 for you. Read the whole Matthew book. The story is right. It's clear. You don't need to listen to anyone. Just read it for yourself. If you can't read, listen to the audio version and you get the message. So make this place your heaven. Let this place be your heaven. Let Africa be a better place for once, for change, so that they won't have to worry about coming here or going to any other country in the world. You understand? I want a place where I can take my kids in the future and they'll want to come back again because there are 24/7 electricity. There are good roads. It's not congested. There are adequate services as far as healthcare, medical infrastructure is concerned. There are good sanitation. The foods are sanitized and, great. You can feel like you're in a place. That's what I want to see. But I don't think they're getting there. In 2026 or in 2040, they're not going to get there. You understand? And then they got all this bunch of boneheaded politicians. They're still blaming the European for the problem. Even up to now, they're still blaming them for the problem. Something that they can solve on their own. Can a black man run something better for once? Can a black man do that? They have a land of their own. They have everything of their own, and yet they can't run it. They can't make it better for themselves and the people. Shame on you. That's why Donald Trump is here for you, to put you on track to making your country great for you and your people. Stay there. Keep the traveling ban. Keep the ban on them. The elites, not the ordinary Africans, don't care about that ban. It's the elite. They're the ones. They're the ones that should suffer. Don't allow them. Don't give them visa to come here. Even England, Britain, France, all of you, tighten your visa so they can stay in our continent and let the mosquito bite them too. And all the ills of the society that they create or design to impoverish the people, let them feel the pain. Let them know what it means to live on a continent in filth and in the reality that the people find themselves. I'm not going to say hellhole, but it's a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep my head from going under. So I've always said on my video, the greatest thing that can ever happen to anyone is not the day you're born, not the day you have your first child, the day you graduate from college, high school, whatever it is that you're working on, my friends. The greatest thing, my friends, that could ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, my friends, everything, absolutely everything, will start to make sense to you, including understanding the part or the places in Africa that IshowSpeed did not show you, the real Africa. I can tell you, someone showed him. That's why I love the Nigerians. They show him the real Africa, where people need money, people need food, people need things to get by. It's not someone promoting a show and having the 5% put up a big show for you. Shake a bam bam. But a real place where real people live that are struggling to get by day. So as I've always say, I want to thank all of my viewers, all those people that are subscribed to my channel, all those people that watch my videos. I want to thank you and your family. So as I've always say again, I hope that you are doing great. Hope that all is pleasant for you. And most importantly, that you are in good health. Thank you and have a pleasant day.